I just got done reviewing Prometheus, and I thought it was interesting to hear why people hate that one so much. Very divisive film. A lot of people don't get anything out of it. They find it pretentious, preachy. While I understand where they're coming from, I didn't necessarily agree full stop. But it's also kind of interesting to hop immediately into Alien Covenant, because how they felt about Prometheus is kind of how I felt about Alien Covenant. So Alien Covenant was the follow-up to Prometheus. It continues the storyline of David, played by Michael Fassbender. This one finds this group of space travelers landing on this strange planet, encountering a new species, and kind of continuing the story of Prometheus. I'll start off with the positives again. The very clear positive to this film, and the biggest standout, is Michael Fassbender as David again. And he's very good in this because he's asked to play two different synthetic AIs at the same time, David and Walter. He's just a phenomenal actor. We all know this at this point, but he carries the shit out of this film. So again, he is by far the clear sell to this. He carries the film. He's awesome. If he wasn't in this film, unwatchable. Much like Prometheus, we follow up with the ideas of David, where he's become obsessed with creation. He's creating these creatures. He finds himself to be a creator more so than human because he doesn't really feel like they're a very viable organism, as he's trying to create the perfect organism, aka the xenomorph, things like that. It's just interesting because he doesn't respect humans. He knows they're going to die. He knows he will never die. Some interesting commentary and contrast again. I just don't think it was done nearly as well as Prometheus, and there's just not enough of it. I'll also say, much like Prometheus, this movie is really good when it comes to world building, but it takes a lot longer to get into. You know, I said I was hooked with Prometheus within 5 to 10 minutes. Not the case with this one. I thought the first 30, 40 minutes of this movie were incredibly slow. I kind of just wanted them to get into it because the way they did the setup, it felt a little bit redundant. We knew what we were getting. So again, when it gets going, I really enjoyed it. When you're on the planet, I think the world looks great. Getting into it, not so much. Thought it was kind of like nails on a chalkboard. It really dragged. The last major positive being the white xenomorph for that creature's design. I thought it looked really cool. It reminded me of something from either Resident Evil or Silent Hill. I just really like the spin on the xenomorph you get to see for a good half of this film. The only problem is, even though the action set pieces and the creature design is top notch and looks awesome, I don't really think it's actualized fully because it's all done via CGI. I don't know if anything is practically done in this. So it stands out like a sore thumb. There's some really cool scenes, some really cool creature design, but I feel like it just misses the mark a little bit, especially compared to the previous Alien films, because it's all done with CGI, and the blood and the creature just looks so fake at times. I will say though, there is one scene in particular involving a shower with a kill scene on the boy who cried wolf, Jussie Smollett himself. I kind of wanted them to just kind of do that throughout the whole movie. After I saw that, I was like, where has this been? Like, can we get that Alien movie? And we just didn't, so that's disappointing, but that is a scene that stands out. I thought that was by far the best scene in the entire film. This movie, much like Prometheus, really suffers from having to write really stupid characters that make incredibly dumbass decisions over and over again. So much so, in fact, I feel like I could probably go on for about 5 or so minutes just about that, but I picked out a handful of my favorite stupid moments. Much like Prometheus, you have scientists walking around without helmets on, touching spores and things that just look highly contagious, but they seemingly don't care, slipping on blood and water whenever they need to get away from a chase scene. It's very dire. Then you have a character who shoots into a hazardous barrel with a gun when she's trying to kill an alien on a ship, causing the entire ship to combust. So yeah, that's probably the highlight reel of the dumbest, but there's a ton of them. Much to the contrast of Prometheus, I thought that film had an incredibly stacked cast. This film, incredibly subpar cast. Really not that many talented actors at all besides Michael Fassbender. So much so that one of your most intelligent and emotionally aware characters in the entire film was cast Danny McBride. Now, nothing against the guy, but if that's the best guy you can get to play an emotionally strong, intelligent scientist, what the fuck? Besides Michael Fassbender, I really didn't like any character in this film, and his character is not that likable based on his intent. So you're kind of left with an Alien Prometheus movie, or whatever you want to call it, with nobody to root for. So, Covenant makes the fatal mistake that Alien 3 made, where a movie that came before it has a much better story, regardless of how you feel about Prometheus, and it takes those legacy characters and just shits on them. Shaw, she's dead. She's just gone off screen. The entire point of the story of Prometheus just kind of wiped clean to make way for Covenant. So I don't really know what they were thinking there, but I think it's a huge whiff to not build on the story from the previous movie that I kind of enjoyed. Aside from the fact that I really didn't like who they cast for these characters and I didn't like the acting, I also didn't buy these guys for a crew. You have Danny McBride, Jussie Smollett, you have a bunch of people I just don't think would have ever composed the same crew. So that's another negative that's paired with the acting. I just didn't believe this cast of characters at all. And I kind of feel like that's a huge selling point to the Alien franchise as a whole. These groups of characters you come to know and like, they're all interconnected. Didn't feel that way at all. This has felt like a group of mercenaries and a group of people who showed up on set and won the award of the roles because I don't know how they became a crew. As I said in the intro as well, people hate Prometheus, it seems, because it's pretentious and it's preachy. What they feel about Prometheus is how I felt about this film. I was overlooking it in Prometheus. I thought it was clever enough, the world building, the elders. I thought it was kind of captivating at certain points. This movie, I thought, was incredibly pretentious in the way they're telling the story, the contrast of AI and humans, what it means to create. The way they went about it in this film was so heavy-handed. I couldn't help but just kind of snarl at certain points where it was like, come on, dude, we're still talking about that? Covenant feels like it has no idea what it wants to be. It feels like it wants to be a Prometheus film where it's following David, but it has nothing in common with that film. And then it's an alien film. It has xenomorphs, breeding of these creatures, but it never commits to that. So you get a couple of scenes with xenomorphs, but they're not really explained and then just all over the place. It just feels like they wanted to make a Prometheus film, knew it couldn't get budgeted, so they made it more alien to market it after Prometheus. And it's just, you feel it when you're watching this. It doesn't feel like it's committed to anything. It's just like 25% of 4 different movies that doesn't make any sense. This is also a movie I thought found itself to be way smarter than it actually is. The commentary, the way it's done, the twist, if you can even call it that at the end. The ending should be chilling, but it's so obviously foreshadowed. It's so predictable. There's nothing surprising about it. Again, a lot of major moments of this film feel like they're supposed to be gotcha moments, but you see them a mile away. Nothing unique like I thought about Prometheus. So yeah, whatever they were doing with that just did not work for me. So overall, guys, I did really enjoy some of the creature design choices in this. Some of the scenes are really cool, but they're also kind of undermined by the CGI. The world building is top notch, just like Prometheus. But this is just a movie that's doing commentary that finds itself way too smart, as I always say, kind of up its own ass. This is not a movie I care to revisit. This movie, in my opinion, is just background noise. A pretty big letdown for me, honestly, as someone who did enjoy Prometheus a good bit. I was really hoping it would go somewhere with that story. Sadly, we didn't get it. Oh well. So what do you guys think of Alien Covenant? How do you think it ranks to Prometheus, others in the Alien franchise? Comment down below, let me know. And I'm going to put a link to my Alien franchise up here. You want to check out my thoughts on all of the other movies in it. As always, if you haven't subscribed yet, what the hell are you waiting for? I do it all on this channel. New releases, scary stuff, tier list, videos like this. Join me down below. That's all I got in this video. Peace.